Primarily, I'm deeply indebted to the Institute of Strategic Studies for arranging this BWC Awareness Symposium. I think it's high time that what I realized since morning is that most of the time is not knowing is the problem. In the modern age science, with mobiles in the pockets and hands all the times, I think we are seconds away from any information that exists within the country. So that's the message. And especially for the juniors who are sitting over here, I think the time has come in your field. You want to strengthen your knowledge, deepen your base. So the facilities are there. It's in our country, most of the time I again say that not knowing is the problem. This field of biosafety was quite nascent some time back, and it all started after September 11, that the world got very much concerned about not only anthrax but all other transmittable diseases. And so was Pakistan. You've heard a lot that we ratified the BWC Convention in 1974 and all that. But we need to understand our limitation. We need to understand where we stand today. I would just like to highlight that what has been done in the last, I would say, a year at National Institute of Health. You heard a lot about NIH this morning. Well, NIH was established on the truly base pattern of CDC America. That is the Center for Disease Control and Communication. Can I have that slide, please? My presentation. It's pretty much there. So till the time I get my presentation on board, I just want to let you know what has been happening. So see, it's basically established on the lines of CDC America, and it had to perform the major role of disease surveillance, as you heard some question and very pertinent questions about this thing as well. This is how the digital technology plays. So my presentation is nothing, but they're not knowing is their problem. It's not my problem. Now, I'll be mostly concentrating on implementation of international health regulations 2005 and the global health security agenda. Now, as you can see, this slide is very, very important because the world has been transformed into a global village. I mean, right now you're sitting here. Tomorrow you might be sitting in Canada. So that definitely there is an emergence and re-emergence of so many infectious diseases. You've heard a lot. You've heard about zoonosis as well. So the globalization has definitely transformed the world, and there is always a serious and unusual disease. Even you keep on hearing. You heard about SARS. You heard about dengue. You hear about Zika, and so many, what and what not. There's a huge list of that. So the threat and the deliberate use of biological weapons, for which we are more concerned about under the BWC Convention, I think something very, very important. There are always accidents, maybe lab associated or industrial. So it has got a huge impact on the economy of the country. And that's where we are concerned. Next slide, please. So the public health threat, you keep hearing about HIV, that causes AIDS, the food supply, the avian flu, the extremely drug-resistant tuberculosis. That is, we are standing at 4th in the world right now in extremely drug-resistant tuberculosis. What to talk of so many other diseases. So the anthrax and Ebola. And finally, I mean, as you can see in the right table below, that amount of mortality that they cause, they keep on increasing. If you see H1N1, around 300,000 deaths over the globe. So this is a huge loss of human precious life. Next slide, please. So why to care about the global health security? There's something very important, because we have to limit the spread of infectious diseases. Let me tell you that only 30% of the developed countries are prepared to tackle such a pandemic. Unfortunately, 70% of the world still goes without unplanned schedule for such an event. And the economic impact is huge, as you can very well see that only Ebola cost $30 billion globally. And the time that Ebola spread in Liberia, again, we need to share the experiences. A good number of Pakistani troops were serving under the United Nations Charter. Alhamdulillah, we tackled the situation in a way that none of the soldiers got back with this deadly virus. And you can well imagine, I mean, 2 cases were detected who went back from Liberia to US as well. God forbid any single event would have been very, very devastating. Next slide, please. We need a safer world. Now, I will not go to the intricacies and the depth, but we need to prevent, we need to promptly detect, and then we need to respond. And next slide, please. Now, this, we all understand that the international health regulations were made mandatory. Again, Pakistan is signatory to that as well. In 2005, they integrated the WHO component with the BWC component, putting them under one umbrella. And later on, this concept of global health security. So, I'll be briefly explaining where do we stand today in this regard. Next slide, please. Well, this GHSA has a multitude of action packages, just to say antimicrobial resistance, zoonotic diseases, the lab system, the surveillance system, and so many other things that we are concerned. And let me assure you, we are very much bothered, we are on the job, and alhamdulillah, we are achieving our timelines, and we assure that public health is the domain of NIH, and we come up to the national standards, inshallah, very soon. Next slide, please. Now, these are the public health expertise that are required. We need the lab component, we need the emergency operation centers, we need the surveillance, and the workforce development. Now, you, the youngster, the future leaders, basically, we have to prepare you, and that is the main task. And that was one of the things that I assured the government that, inshallah, we'll make sure that we pass on all the knowledge and we prepare the future leaders so they are better adaptable to the situation, right? We are in the present circumstances. Now, the shared priorities of the two important agendas at the international level, the global health security, and as you can see in the middle circle, you have surveillance, the lab preparedness, response, zoonotic diseases, and then the human resources. So, human resources is the most important, and we have to totally concentrate on you people. There's a lot to learn from abroad, but learning from abroad, bringing it back to the country, then preparing the people aware, I think is some of the very, very primary tasks that we need to deal with very seriously. Next slide, please. For a complicated slide, I would not like to bother you much again. As you can see, Pakistan has a red zone, and the green are basically those which have leading role in global health security agenda. They have covered most of the associated problems with GHSA, but we definitely are tackling those. I would say we definitely have crossed the initial phase, and hopefully we'll try to attain the targets in the near future, as I said. The impact, as you can see, the global GHS will be that we need to prevent the illnesses, and especially the death from the infection. You heard a lot. I mean, the Punjab scare of dengue, the KP scare of dengue. I keep on hearing about the bird flu and swine flu, the recent episodes in Bawalpur. And for the first time, alhamdulillah, NIH tackled this situation despite the devolution process that we were told that the government of Punjab never requested. We played our role, we curtailed that, we got the samples, and all the samples were tested, let me tell you, inside NIH. They were not sent abroad. And inshallah, very soon we are coming to that level where there will be no requirement of sending the sample abroad for the final diagnosis. Till today, we have attained many capabilities, but inshallah, going down to the next generation sequencing and some more equipment, we are in the process of procuring. And that's what we have told the government, where do we stand and where we have to go, and we would like to depend on the government funds as well as partners as well. Now, Pakistan, we also understand huge population burden. I think the only thing we are much capable of is production in this field. But we remain a responsible state. We have our international obligations which we need to fulfill. Next slide, please. Next. Yeah. Here you can see that just to talk of TB, we rank 5th in the world. And as I told you, in multi-drug resistant, we are 4th in the world. That is really, really unfortunate. 560,000 cases per year, new cases, is a huge number. And I still believe many are underdiagnosed or undiagnosed. Hepatitis B and C, we talk of rabies, malaria, the things which the world is thinking of elimination totally. We are unfortunately standing at very bad position. Next. I don't want to bother. You talk of Congo Crimean hemorrhagic fever, Bakra Eid आई, and अपने साथ बहुत सारे problem लाई, जिनमें से unfortunately CCHF is one of the main, I think, danger elements that comes around with the Qurbani. And then dengue and chikungunya on malaria. Next slide, please. Huge statistic, the diphtheria, measles. So please let me assure you, all this data is caught at NIH. So we are on the job. This may not have been done in the past. It's a 50-year-old institute now in 51st year, but now inshallah this 51st and 52nd year we'll make sure that we stand at the international level compatible with any other standard. Yes, next slide please. So just an ongoing initiatives with IHR, it's just about vaccination. Let me show you, the two projects we got approved were long delayed. They started off in initial 2004 with the cost escalation of just 147 million, and the final cost escalation last year was 751 million, but we convinced the government of Pakistan. And that's, it's not easy to convince the planning commission getting huge amounts, but we have been doing alhamdulillah. 10 PC1 we got approved from the planning commission just last year. So as you can see, there are certain core capacities under international health regulations. As you can see on the slides please, that the legislation, I think one of the worst hit areas in Pakistan. We are good in talking, we are I think good in communication, but unfortunately just the Public Health Act, it was initially drafted in 2010 but lost to the different channels. Alhamdulillah, for the first time we have formulated a comprehensive Public Health Act which encompasses One Health, as already pointed out this morning, Global Health Security Agenda, IHR, and so many new developments that have been occurring over the last 10 years. Now it's with the government of Pakistan, and just last week I requested the new minister that we now move on forcefully this component, that is the Public Health Act. So, and again let me tell you, this same act was drafted with almost 10 million cost in 2010, and this time we developed within NIH, costing a single penny to the government of Pakistan. We have certain other legislation we are working on. We are working on a PC1 for strengthening the IHR system now within the country. Yesterday I was at a meeting with the Minister of CISS, Health Minister, and I think everyone is on board. We just talked to the Minister today on inter-provincial coordination, and that's how we will my time is over, but I have to move on because this, I'll be very rapid now. The surveillance and response, I think something very important. It's been fragmented. Now we are totally consolidating. We are establishing public health lab within the country. Already we have got 10 district surveillance units which are sending us the data. 2 of them have been recently inducted. Next slide, please. Preparedness and response network, something very important, a very, very weak component in the country. We have worked very hard on this thing. We are launching courses. We will incorporate, inshallah, all the departments and institutes within the country that are there. We'll prepare the master trainers, and we've got a very comprehensive plan in this regard. Risk communication, a very neglected area. So I think we have worked hard. We, for the first time, we established a communication center within NIH, and I'm sure please do visit so you can practically see on the ground. I might be saying, but I might not be true, but if you see, you will definitely learn. The human resource capacity we are increasing, training in epidemiology and so many other courses. The lab component, now for the first time, alhamdulillah, we have taken up the case for having a WHO collaborating center for infectious diseases in Pakistan, and it's almost under approval. I would like to share, as you say, again not knowing, but these things are available on our website. We have devised the first ever national biosafety and biosecurity lab policy. You can have it from our website. I'll leave the things for you, sir. Now this all has been done, let me tell you, in 10 months. The national lab policy, which never existed within the country, comprehensively addressing all the issues, and then the first ever antimicrobial strategic plan for the country, along with the national action plan, because this is how we're going to implement. The next phase is the legislation, for which alhamdulillah we are again working upon. Next slide, please. The last one is the EP, as you can see in this slide, is the Emergency Operations Center. Yes, next slide, please. Immunization, you heard a lot. Zoonotic. Now, the National Institute of Health is the focal hub for One Health as well. So we are working a lot. We have signed MOUs with NIAC, working together on different projects, and so we are working on food safety and so many other things. Next slide, please. One Health Initiative, as we have established a field epidemiology division within NIH, and it's becoming a totally independent body. We underwent a joint external evaluation in 2016, which was a massive exercise. Next slide, please. I'll skip most of the things. Now, this is the AMA scenario, and definitely we have to work very hard on this thing. Next slide, please. The vision of the NESCOL is basically a coordinated and collaborative and sustainable, I think, policy and work that we would like to do, because it's at times it's easier to make the policies. but we really want the things to be sustainable, and we are striving very hard for that. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. What the summary is that NIH is designated 4 points for so many things, and GHSA, IHR, One Health, and so many other things. And we have functional units within, and we are trying to now enhance the capacity. Alhamdulillah, we have got new induction, purely merit-based, and I think I have to fight a lot on this subject alone with the hierarchy. Next, please. We have developed a code of conduct, and I think the credit goes to the whole complete working group. Now we are revising it, and soon we will present the amendment framework to the government in this regard. Next slide. Next slide, please. So as I told you, we went to joint external evaluation, and that sets, I think, as a light affection for the country. We are working almost on, because there are so many areas where we got their number, and one of them was very important concern that has been discussed is the biosafety legislation. Now we drafted an act in 2010, again lost over the time, and I think most of the seniors are sitting over here. So taking this advantage, we have now redrafted at NIH in the line of new requirements and submitted it to the, again, the disarmament Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they were just telling that now they will revive the group so that they work on it, and they would like NIH to take a lead in this kind, for which definitely we are again ready. So that true legislation within 10 months is a tedious job, but it has been done already. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next. So challenges are basically advocacy and resource mobilization, and remember, money is a requirement for everything, but not necessarily. There are few efforts that you can do about. I mean, I heard one question about curriculum. Again, I can talk at least 1 hour on curriculum room, what we have done with HEC, what has been the design of trainings. We launched an association as well. It's functional. It's imparting training throughout the country. Again, as I said, from Gilgit to Skadu to Karachi to KP, you name the region that we are imparting training. But we have to overcome the challenges and combine. It's a team effort. Alone we cannot do that. Next slide, please. So this is the latest TOC that has been established. It was never existed at NIH. Now we have incorporated the world renowned DHIS2 system for the health surveillance within the country. Now this is a functional unit, alhamdulillah, with all digital screen and everything. This will be a 24-hour functional unit, and that's how we are working. And again, all this transition has been done within last 1 year. So we have different, policy framing bodies at the national level. We are supplying them all support that we can do. Next slide, please. The future plan definitely are very much there. We would like to enhance our capabilities, impart training, secure resources for point of entry within the country. We are launching again training in this regard as well, and then utilizing the linkages already existing, especially to public health related laws, and in the light of post-devolution plan. That this has been a big problem for at the national level, and consensus building, especially on international agendas. Next slide, please. So with all that, I think I had rushed to it then, but I think anyone, you're more than welcome to join us at NIH and see what's practically ongoing, and we'll be able to answer all your questions that were raised this morning. Thank you so much.